how do you feel about character representation in Congress today? Is it how have you dealt with that? How do you feel about the way people are behaving today compared to say the days when you were in Congress?
It's become much worse. It's very, very polarized. It's so much a focus on means, on an end, excuse me, instead of mean. So Democrats presently, they've admitted it, they're supporting election deniers in the Republican primaries in order to get them defeated in November because they'd be easier to defeat. The Democratic um, Congressional Committee has admitted that they have put money into Republican primaries in order to nominate somebody whom they consider unacceptable. And on the Republican side, the adherence to President Trump, despite overwhelming evidence that the election was won legitimately by President Biden, because if you don't say that, President Trump will endorse your opponent in your primary. And so what I suspect, I haven't the individual conversations now that I did when I was a member of Congress, but what I suspect, Dan, is the oldest and perhaps most virulent of all self-deceptions is I'll do this little evil in order to do good. Once I get elected, country will be better off. My district will be better off. So in order to get elected, I might have to take this step. I might have to say President Trump was cheated out of the election, even though I don't believe that he was. On the Republican side or the Democratic side, I might have to support this otherwise unacceptable candidate because he or she will be easier to beat. It's awful. I look across the ranks and see very few. I'll single out Senator Mitt Romney. He deserves credit. He's a man of faith, and he's showing that he evaluated the evidence and against his own political interest voted to impeach President Trump on 2 occasions. Indeed, on the first occasion, he was the only Republican senator to convict. I said to impeach. He was actually going to convict to remove him from office. But that's a very sparse example. And all for what? For what? So that you can be 1 out of 435. Well, yes, good. I'm glad that you're 1 out of 435. And maybe I did a tiny, tiny bit of good when I was 1 out of 435, but it's not worth it. And if you're able to sell, if you're willing to sell your principle on that, then why should anyone have confidence in you on the 1,001 decisions that are made in private? That's another phrase for character, the decisions that you make when no one's looking. And there are 1,000 decisions for every one that gets public. Whether you go on a bill to sponsor it or not, whether you move a particular argument in committee discussion or not. So it's become much worse in my observation. And largely it's because of the polarization of the 2 major parties, and the result being that they cannot, a candidate or an incumbent cannot afford to be primaried. Because if you lose the primary, you can't make it to the finals. The primary becoming the most important election now, that November. Out of 435 House seats, I could be wrong, but I think Cook reports never got above 50 who were contested. So 435, 385 were not contested. And as a result, the primary becomes important. And as a result, party loyalty and orthodoxy has become even more and more dominant.